Hey, thank you for joining. We are having our series Back to School. And I'm going to give you a joke, but you have to wait till the end. Hello? To hear the punchline. What do you call a teacher who forgot to take attendance? I'll tell you at the end. In the meantime, I want to ask you this question as well. What are we learning? What are we learning? What am I learning? I was thinking about this. When I first started doing YouTube, it was all by myself in my basement, and I had my own camera, and it was 100% learning, vertical learning curve. I had no idea what I was doing. But, I'm learning. I'm jumping in. Learned about camera angles. I learned about sound. Oh yeah, I have to do makeup. It was just a train wreck waiting to happen. What are you learning? We learn all kinds of things. You take driver's lessons. You take, Excel spreadsheets, how to do those things. What are we learning? Some people take, I love this on YouTube, the DIYs, right? How do you change this furnace filter? There's so many things that I learn on YouTube with DIYs. I love it. So fun, so practical. And honestly, when I was little growing up, I'd go to the library. My favorite books of all time were the how-to. How to clean your carpet, how to change. I learned how to do the pressure plate on a clutch, change in my car, change my clutch and hue whatever surface the pressure plate for my clutch, because I had a manual shift. I just thought this, what? You're like, this is just nuts, Sarah. It's true. It's a little true, but what are we learning? Because I think it's important for us to think about, what am I learning? And in 1 Corinthians 8, verse 1, this is an interesting thing that Paul says. He says, but the knowledge makes us feel important. It is love that strengthens the church. And if you look at it in the New King James Version, it says, knowledge puffs up, but love edifies. And I think that is such a powerful thing to think about. Knowledge, it can puff up. Makes you feel important, makes you feel special. You can come into a room and you can kind of mesmerize, you're so smart, blah, 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 blah. And knowledge can puff up. And when I think of puffing, I think of like a puffer fish, right? And it goes, and it blows up. And you just don't want it to explode, right? Because otherwise it's like a balloon that, but it says love edifies. And that's a drastic contrast from puffing versus edifying, to build up, to strengthen, to put inside, to make stronger on the inside, to edify. And if you don't have the strong interior, but you just have the fluffy puffy, then you're probably just going to blow up and blow away. Whereas love edifies. And I think this is one of the most important things is not just learning information, learning knowledge, but rather letting love permeate into us as well as seep and ooze out of us. And I would suggest to you that love is what every single human on the planet that has always lived, lives now and will live. It is one of the most compelling driving desires in every single human. And I would propose that genuine love is the core essential that we all crave. And this, I would say, is found first and foremost in God. Love edifies. Knowledge puffs up, but love edifies. So when we think about that, let's not just think about, I'm going to memorize 1 Corinthians 13, verse 1 to 4, love is not, all that. Sometimes, again, that just turns into information. But what I would propose is go back to 1 John 3, verse 1. Where it says, behold, the quality of love that God has given to us, that we are called God's children. And when we think that God is love, that's what we read in 1 John, God is love and we are the children of love, then that means that we can continue the love that we receive as God's son, God's daughter, that we can continue that in our daily living and expressing that to people that are not always very lovely or lovable. Right? Sometimes it's hard to love. But I would suggest whenever, and this is what I find for myself, is whenever I struggle to be loving with somebody, it's a reality check. Am I letting God love me? Because if I try and fake it, like pretend and I'll work it up, I'll be loving, I'm just going to be more loving, then I find I get frustrated and snippy and impatient, and it's hard. It's a self-human effort. But when I find myself not loving well, I back up the train and I think, okay, wait a second, am I letting God love me? I love because I am first loved. If I'm not first loved, then I have a hard time loving. So then how do I let God love me? Well, I want you to think about that. And maybe you want to leave some comments. How do you best let God love you? Put that in the comments. I'd love, no pun intended, love to hear your thoughts. How do you best allow God to love you? So as you think about that, write some comments. Thank you so much for subscribing. Hit the notification bell right there, because we'll keep you posted when we put up new content. Would you like to hear the end of the joke? Yeah, you're like, well, of course, because we were waiting for this. All right, the end of the joke. What do you call a teacher who forgets to take attendance? This teacher's called absent-minded. Stupid. All right, next week will be lots better.